Hi everyone, welcome to the Cook with Janie kitchen. I'm Cook with Janie, Janie Turner, and it's great to have you join me today. I'm going to be making a real family favorite recipe today because this week is all about baking. Bake Off the Professionals is on TV in the UK, and so lots of people are talking about baking and talking about cakes and cookies and their favorite things to do when it comes to using their Thermomix and baking. It is a wonderful, wonderful kitchen machine if you like baking, and really, really lovely to make this cake with its gorgeous glossy ganache chocolate topping. It is so beautiful, this cake. It's been a family favorite for years. Way back in, I don't know, maybe 2002 or 3, my friend Louise Toozy actually took a wonderful Nigella Lawson recipe and translated it into Thermomix. And she shared the recipe with me. In 2009, I made a video with this cake, which has had many, many, many views on YouTube. And now it's time to show you how I am making this cake healthier and even more delicious, if that is possible, but it really is. So today we're going to be making the gorgeous Guinness glossy chocolate cake with a chocolate ganache topping. So it's a really easy cake. My sister-in-law makes it for every birthday in their household. We often make it for every birthday, and actually today is the birthday of one of my grandsons, and we made this for his first birthday too. So I'm going to start off with the ingredients here for you. I'll just read them for you so you can see. So 250 grams of butter, 400 grams of sugar. I don't use sugar in this cake anymore, and I'll show you in a minute. 250 grams of Guinness, and I'm going to be giving you an alternative for that too. 60 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder, and 280 grams of plain flour or gluten-free plain flour. 140 grams of Greek yogurt or natural yogurt or sour cream or creme fraiche, and 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, get the real stuff, and 2.5 level teaspoons of soda bicarb. So that is going to be our cake, and I'm going to tell you about special things to do with it today. So I have here some butter. This is unsalted butter. If you only have salted butter, then don't resist making this cake because of that, because you do want to make it anyway, and you probably won't notice the little tiny hint of salt, so that's fine. And the cake originally was Guinness chocolate cake, and you could use Murphy's, which is a stout, or Guinness obviously. You could use ginger beer if you wanted to. And you could use a homemade kefir or kombucha. So this one is a pineapple kefir, which I made about 8 or 10 days ago. And so I brought this out of the fridge. The point is, use something that's a bit fizzy. So I'm going to do this now, and I'm just going to add in my 250 grams of kefir in this case. It tastes wonderful with all of, oops, there we are, it's fizzy, with all of these different variations. So here we go. You can hear the fizz. 250 grams. That'll do nicely. I love doing homemade kefir, so if you'd like to see some homemade cultured drinks sometime, then let me know and I can put that on my plans for these Facebook Live videos. So now what we're going to do is we're going to melt those together. So say goodbye to the scales and go over to the home screen for time, temperature, and speed. And in this case, we're going to do 3 minutes, and we're going to do 80 degrees, and speed 1. There we are. So that is going to be, oh, yes please to the cultured drinks. Great. So I really like them. I enjoy them so much. And this is a wonderful way to actually get some probiotics into your cake, which is a really good thing for looking after the flour ingredients in your cake. So while this is melting, I'm just going to talk you through what I've got next, and then I can put it all in very, very quickly. So we've got some gluten-free flour. I have 2 kinds here, and so I'm just going to use that today. And I've got some proper vanilla extract, natural, and it only has real ingredients in it, so that's what you want to look out for. Artificial doesn't taste nearly as good. You could use vanilla bean paste or vanilla powder instead if you wish. I've got 2 eggs, and for my, and I've got 60 grams of cocoa powder. So one of the things that is interesting about this cocoa powder is if you want to give a chocolate cake flavor, you need to have cocoa powder that has its proper amount of cocoa butter or natural chocolate fat in it. So you need to be looking for at least 20% or 20 grams per 100 grams fat content, and no other kinds of fat except cocoa butter in your ingredients list on the cocoa powder. That will give the wonderful flavor to your cake, and otherwise you won't get that flavor. It'll be quite dry. So it's important and delicious, helps to make it delicious. Today, for the sweetness in our cake, instead of sugar, because the cake actually calls for 400 grams of unrefined sugar, today I'm actually using dates. So I've taken the pips out of some dates, and I've got also, I had in my fridge actually, some compressed date puree in a block. You can usually buy it at a shop, particularly Indian grocery stores in the UK will have it. And I let it come to room temperature, and then I just pull it apart so it's about the same size as the dates. And these are dried dates, not fresh, in case you live in a country where you can actually get the fresh dates, and so because they are sweeter and you want this for the sweetness. And so we've got 300 grams of dates, and we've got 50 grams of honey, and this is a local honey to me. So once this is melted, and we're also going to put in 140 grams of Greek yogurt. You could use a natural plain yogurt if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be the thickened Greek yogurt or strained yogurt. Or you could use sour cream, creme fraiche, or you could use coconut yogurt too if you're aiming for a dairy-free version. So John, you have a question, I think.
Wendy's watching, and as we know, she needs to have very smooth food.
Yes.
She's asked whether the dates could be pureed.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Puree the dates first, Wendy, and then put it through your sieve, and you'll have pipless, seedless, everythingless, beautiful, smooth puree for your cake. So what I've got now is I've just got melted butter and kefir in this case. So this could be your Guinness or your stout or whatever else you've used for your fizzy ingredient. So then we're going to add everything else. So here go our dates. This is all pre-weighed, so this should speed up the recipe for you. And although you can, of course, as we already did with some of the ingredients, you can use the scales on the Thermomix. And there's our cocoa powder going in. It's gorgeous dark cocoa powder. And I've got a spoon for my teaspoon of vanilla. Good quality vanilla really makes a difference to a recipe, which is so nice. And I've got my eggs. And then my honey, and I'm going to weigh that in. And it's easier probably to use runny honey because it mixes in a bit better. So John, did you wave at me again? Do you have another comment or question?
No, I'm just looking at all these lovely ingredients going in. I'm getting excited.
Oh yes, I know. This is such a favorite cake. It's been at so many occasions in our family, and quite wonderfully appreciated because of that. So there's the honey done, and then I've got my Greek yogurt today, and that's going to go in. Let me turn my hands around so you can see. Here we go. Some gluten-free flours, by the way, will absorb a little bit more moisture than others. So I'll show you when we mix it up what you're looking for in terms of your cake texture. So here we go. This is super easy. Now all we do is we mix it for 20 seconds at speed 6. And because of those dates in there, you will hear some sound effects. So if you've got your earphones in, you might want to take them out for a few moments and just come back in 20 seconds. So lovely to see all of those comments and names popping up. Thank you all for coming to join me today. So here we are here, and what you've got in 20 seconds is you've got a magnificent, beautiful, glossy, slightly lumpy cake mixture there. And what I'm going to do and teach you to do is I haven't added my soda bicarb. So here it is here. I'll add that after I've let this cake mixture rest for about 6 hours, or maybe even overnight until tomorrow morning. And the purpose of that is to let the flours in the recipe absorb some of the liquid so that they're much easier to digest. And actually, it really, really, really improves the flavor of the cake. So I make all my cakes and biscuits this way, which is just, it's so delicious. It's well worth planning ahead and doing that with your timing. So here we go now. Oops. I'm going to get another bowl, a clean bowl. And here in the UK, there's a special offer on getting an extra bowl right now for your Thermomix, your TM6. So take advantage of that during June because it's fabulous to have an extra cooking bowl. And I'll just pop that one on there to rest overnight. There we are. And what we're going to do now is make the ganache. And then magically I will produce my baked chocolate cake from this morning that has now cooled down, and we'll pour the ganache over top. Thermomix is fabulous for ganaches. Really, really good. And what I'm going to do is I actually made some double cream this morning. You can find that recipe in my I Love Chocolate, I Love Thermomix cookbook, and you can find it on cookwithjanie.com. So here we go. Here, I'm just going to weigh in 150 grams, and I'll show you the ingredients in a moment. Now, if anything is touching the side of your Thermomix, the Thermomix is sensitive enough to notice, so I just had to move my spatula to one side there, so it's freestanding. So 150 grams of double cream. There we are, that'll do nicely. And I've got 150 grams of chocolate chips. You can aim for somewhere between 50 and 60% cocoa solids. That's how dark the dark chocolate is. And I've got my teaspoon of vanilla in here as well. So I'm just going to add that in too. So there we go, and this just goes on to melt for 3 minutes at 50 degrees.
Do you want to just show the ingredients, Jenny?
Yes, I will as soon as I get started on this.
Okay.
So here we are. That would be lovely. 3 minutes, 50 degrees, and speed 1. It's actually supposed to be done at speed 3, but for the sake of the fact that I'm talking at the same time, I'm going to be doing it at speed 1 today, and you'll be fine with that. So they'll start to melt beautifully into the cream and perfectly. They'll never get too hot because you've set the temperature accurately with your Thermomix. And then you'll have a beautiful blended, well, stirred really, chocolate ganache, which is so wonderful. So I'll show you what the ingredients are for this. The chocolate ganache topping, it's 150 grams of double cream and 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 150 grams of dark chocolate, and either chips or small pieces if you've got a chocolate bar and you break it up yourself, and 15 grams of unsalted butter, which we'll add at the end or just before we do the next step. So those are our ingredients today. I'll just pop those over to one side, and I'll bring over my cake so you can actually be tempted, because it is beautiful, and it will be even more beautiful when we pour the Glossy Ganache over the top. And I can see a few chocolate cake hearts and likes and thumbs up coming. That's wonderful. Yes, this is a really, really good cake. It's fabulous for a celebration. At my daughter-in-law's hen party, I made it in a different shape and put frozen raspberries over top of the ganache, and that was a real hit. So you can play with decorating it how you like, but it does look beautiful just with the chocolate ganache. So we've got lots of people watching. Has anybody actually made the Guinness chocolate cake before? Let me know. Send me a thumbs up or a comment. And John.
And have you mentioned, Jenny, that this is a baking week and that we're doing several baking recipes?
Yes, I have mentioned that this is a baking week. This is baking in the Cook with Janie kitchen this week. And so tomorrow I'll be doing some of my favorite cookies in the UK. They're called biscuits, of course. And I'll let you know what they are tomorrow morning. And then on Thursday at 1 o'clock again, I'll be doing a pudding, which is really delicious and very simple. I always love the simple ones. And much more towards the healthy side of everything. And I'll tell you how to do gluten-free and dairy-free on these recipes too. So if you were going to do dairy-free for the cake, obviously what you would do is you would actually use coconut oil instead of the butter for greasing your cake tin and for in your cake mixture. Make sure your chocolate is dairy-free, read all the labels, and you'll be fine with that. And obviously all the other ingredients too. And I'll just interrupt myself before I tell you about gluten-free. So I'll just show you here. I think I'll be able to show you that on the side of the Thermomix bowl, there are a few little chocolate chips that have gone up the side of the bowl there. And those are the ones that are actually going to help finish off the chocolate ganache and cool it down a little bit. So I'm just scraping them down into the warm melted chocolate now. There we are, and we're going to add our butter, just our little 15-gram lump of butter. So here goes that in here. If you were making this for a dairy-free person, I can tell you a trick in a moment.
You might like to know that Daniela says, absolutely, she loves it, always goes down a storm.
Oh, yeah, thanks Daniela, that's great.
And we've had a few storms this week, but this is a perfect storm.
This is a delicious storm, that's for sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set it for 3 minutes again, and this time without heat. So we just want to cool it a bit, and I'm going to do it at speed 3, just to make sure those last few little pieces of chocolate melt into the warm melted chocolate already, so it becomes totally, perfectly smooth and glossy. So if you were going to do this dairy-free, instead of cream, you could use cashew cream. That would be a really easy way to do it, or any other non-dairy liquid that is about the same texture as cream. And so I won't tell you my other tip about dairy-free because I'm going to save that for when I do a chocolate week and do some truffles for you. But there is another tip coming. And so if you want to do gluten-free, then you use gluten-free baking flours mix. And that's important because some of the sort of average gluten-free flours that are all-purpose might have a lot of bean flour in them, and bean flour is quite strongly tasting. So for baking, it's nicer to use a baking flour mix for gluten-frees. And also, as I mentioned, you might need to add an extra egg or 50 grams of milk of your choice, obviously, to the mixture. If your mixture by the time it's rested for 6 hours is too thick to stir at speed 6. Because tomorrow morning what I'll do is I'll add my 2.5 level teaspoons of soda bicarbonate, alias baking soda. I will add that I'll sprinkle it over the top of the cake mixture, the one that's resting over there, obviously not my ganache, and then I will mix that in for 20 seconds at speed 6. So if your mixture rises up above the blades and gets an air bubble underneath, then you know you need to add that extra egg or extra milk, and that will just help it. Give it a little stir with your handy Thermomix spatula, and that will actually help knock the air bubble and let the mixture go down, so it will be stirred perfectly.
So Jenny, for those who've joined us a bit late, would you like to just tell them what's going on in the Thermomix right now?
Absolutely. So far, we've mixed up the chocolate cake mixture itself. It's now sitting here as a cake batter, resting. And if you go back to the beginning of the video and have another listen, you'll understand why, and the fact that it makes it much more delicious. And in here we have our chocolate ganache topping, which is so yummy, and this is what is going to make your glossy chocolate cake super glossy. It's easy peasy. It is chocolate, cream, and I made my own homemade double cream, and a bit of unsalted butter and some vanilla. So very, very easy. And I've got my Blue Peter, that means I made it ahead of time, Guinness chocolate cake, which I'm now going to show you the ganache going over. So here we go, here. And I'm just going to walk around the side here so you can see. Let me just show you that. You'll be able to see the gloss in a moment anyway, but you can see it in the bowl there. It's wonderful. And I'm just going to pour this over the cake. So here we go. And then it starts to drip down the sides, which I absolutely love when it does that. I'm just walking around and looking at the drips to make sure that I've got some in all the different places around the cake. And there we are. That is my totally perfect, glossy, gorgeous chocolate cake for today.
It's even dripping off the sides.
Oh, it dripped on me. If you want the chocolate cake to, the chocolate ganache topping to be a little bit thicker so it doesn't drip up the sides, then just leave it to cool for 10 minutes before you pour it on the cake. But here we are with a beautiful, glossy, gorgeous chocolate cake. And thank you everyone for coming on today. Oh, a question, John.
We've had a couple of questions.
Yes.
Any gluten-free flour brands that you'd recommend?
Here in the UK, I love the Dove's Farm one. And in Canada, Bob's Red Mill, and there's another one in Canada. I don't know the ones in Australia, but I'm sure that if you look them up, you'll find gluten-free flour baking blends. Today I used half and half teff flour and cassava flour, and so you can use that too. Yes, John?
A few comments that it looks amazing and delicious, and when is Smell-O-Vision coming?
I wish it could be coming instantly because this is beautiful, and John is obviously smelling the gorgeous fragrance.
And size of tin and baking time?
The size of the tin is 23 centimeters, or if you want a taller cake like this one, 20 centimeters. That's a round springform tin for ease. And the baking time is 160 degrees without your fan on, or 180 degrees with the fan on. And it is for an hour, and you may have to bake it longer. Because I had the 20 centimeter tin today, this took an hour and 25 minutes to bake. If you've got an Aga, it is in the baking oven in the middle. So thanks very much for everybody for coming on. If you want the full recipe, then please go to cookwithjanie.com and you'll see Guinness chocolate cake there. And enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And I hope this makes many family celebrations very special for you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.